Hello everyone, welcome to this chapter of Attitudes and Job Certification. These are our topics that we would be covering in this chapter. First is the attitudes. It is the evaluative statement or judgment concerning objects, people, or events occurring in a particular situation. The attitude is made up of three components. First is the cognitive, that is the belief, opinion, or perception of an individual towards it could be the objective, it could be the people, or it could be the events. For example, salary. You might believe that you are given a justifiable salary. Affective. It is the emotion or feeling attached to that cognition, which is basically the let's for example, if you are having a salary that is good enough, so you might be feeling positive about it. So ultimately that would lead towards the behavior, which is an intention to behave in a certain way towards someone or something. Let's take the salary again here as an example, that you might be behaving positively towards your organization, towards your job, or you might be feeling satisfied in terms of your salary that is being given to you. So ultimately, these all combine together to make an attitude of an individual within the organization. So does behavior always follow from attitudes? Maybe, or vice versa. The thing to be considered is the cognitive dissonance. Any incompatibilities between two or more attitudes, or between the behaviors and attitudes. It is basically the difference between what you have thought about and what you have perceived and what you have already observing, or you are doing, perceiving something and doing something else, or behaving in some other way, so that you can match the surrounding situation, or you are trying to adjust with the situation. Interviewers seek to reduce this uncomfortable gap or dissonance to reach stability and consistency. Consistency is achieved by changing the attitudes, modify the behavior, or through rationalization. Means that you might be thinking that whatever the salary is, I should be acting like I'm okay with it. So this is dissonance. Internally you are not okay with it, but externally you are behaving in a way that you're showing your attitude is okay, that you are okay with the salary. Desire to reduce dissonance depends on importance of elements that we would be discussing. Degree of individual's influence, rewards involved in dissonance. What are the major job attitudes? First is the job certification. Second, job involvement and psychological empowerment, organizational commitment, perceived organization support, employee engagement. Let's talk about them one by one. Job certification is very simple. If you are satisfied with the job overall condition, then you are satisfied with the job. Factors that might be affecting your job certification attitude might be different. So a positive feeling about the job resulting from an evaluation, means overall evaluation of certain thing, of its characteristics. Maybe you are okay with the salary, environment, not from the boss, not by the with the boss, but maybe colleagues. So these the overall situation, you might feel that you are okay with the job. If the boss is good or not, so it doesn't matter. So the other things matter for you. So these might lead you overall situation, overall attitude of your job certification in a balanced way. The second is job involvement. Basically, if you are satisfied, if you are feeling positive, you are most likely to be involved in your job. The degree of psychological identification with the job, where perceived performance is important to self-worth. Whatever you are performing is whatever you're doing, whatever job is you are doing is meaningful to you. Whatever performance is perceived, you are delivering it. And if you might be feeling important of that job, which you might be linking with yourself. For example, let's take an example that somebody might ask you a name, and then directly would ask, what are you doing? So if you are involved in your job. You might have linked yourself with the job, or you might be satisfied with your job, or you are quite involved in your job. The second answer would be directly, you know, shown in your answer, that you might be a doctor, you might be a consultant, or you might be a teacher, or whatsoever. So this is basically job involvement, the psychological attachment or linking of yourself with your job. Third is psychological empowerment. That is basically psychological empowerment means the belief of the degree of influence over the job, competence, job meaningfulness, and autonomy. It is the belief that you think that, or that you feel, or you perceive that you're competent enough, the role that you have given is meaningful to you, and you also possess certain sort of autonomy, or the job is flexible enough, or you have a certain amount of control over your job. The organization commitment. It is the identifying with a particular organization and its goal while wishing to maintain membership in the organization. It has 3 dimensions. Affective is the emotional attachment to the organization. Continuous commitment means the economic value of staying, salary. Normative means the moral or ethical obligations, for example, some relations to perform towards performance, especially for the new employees. So overall, here, this slide represents the job attitude, which is organizational commitment. Means an individual associates its commitment, loyalty, consistency with its job, maybe out of its emotional attachment, maybe out of salary or financial perspective, attachment, or relevance, or maybe dependence, or maybe normative, or that is you believe that it is moral or ethical obligations upon you from the organization because of certain reasons. Or maybe newcomers usually perform well because they want to be recognized. That is being in any organization. You believe you would be recognized if you perform well in any organization. So you might be committed to perform well in the organization. Perceived organizational support. Simply, it is a degree to which employees believe that organization values their contributions and cares about their well-being, and higher, when rewards are fair, employees are involved in decision making, and supervisors are seen as supportive. So a higher performance, perceived organizational support is related to higher organizational citizenship behaviors and performance. Perceived organizational support is basically the belief that supervisor and all the resources are acknowledging you, supporting you, and therefore the POS, perceived organizational support, get as an individual or measure attitude is measured higher, or is reflected higher once these elements are the organization elements are in support. And of course, these will definitely be increasing the organizational involvement and high performance. And of course, you would be behaving in an organization that you perform as an individual does in a society, or behaves in a well-mannered society. That is obeying the rules, orders, following the guidelines, implementing the policies, and practicing what is being appreciated, and restraining oneself from doing those things which are not supported by the organization. Employee engagement, the degree of involvement with satisfaction and with enthusiasm for the job. How eagerly you are engaged in performing your job. Engaged employees are passionate about their work and company, and feel a deep connection with the work in the company. So it is called the employee engagement attitude. Here comes a question. Maybe these are the concepts that we have talked about. Might be sounding similar. Of course, these are the attitudes. They are more overlapping sometimes, or sometimes one attitude is measured under the other umbrella. For example, if I talk about job commitment, other job attitudes, but I am going to measure with job satisfaction, all these areas might be covered in the job certification. So, of course, in more and more research is being done so that there is a clear line of demarcation. Job certification, of course, is one of the primary job attitude, which is measured in a broad term involving a complex individual summation, means to sum up of overall situation for an individual, or sum up of all the feelings that individual might be having towards its job, and it is measured by a single component, the global scale, or maybe out of number of items that might be representing different concepts or different elements that are affecting or reflecting one's job satisfaction. So these items are taken into consideration. So the average is made out to measure this job satisfaction. Are people satisfied in their job overall or globally? It depends. In US, yes, but the level appears to be dropping. So factors could be different. Job satisfaction, let's say in third world countries or first world countries, might be different. Factors might be different. Let's say pay and promotion are the most problematic elements in US, but pay and promotion, so that the US as a whole country or the organization existing in the US might be having this difficulty to match the promotions and pay at that level in that country. But in developing countries, for example, situation could be different, and the job security and the law and order situation or the economic factor might come in. So for the third world country, economic organizations might be having the other factors to maintain. Here are the causes of job certification. Pay influences job certification only to a point. Let's say 40,000 per year in US. There is no relationship between the amount of pay and job certification. Employees were paid annually $40,000 US, but they were not still satisfied. It means the money is not necessary to bring in the certification. Might bring happiness, but not certification into the job. So other factors should be considered. For example, training and the social context, interdependent feedback also matter in the job certification attitude. Of course, personality can also influence. Negative people are usually not satisfied with their job, even with their life. So personality does matter. It means those with positive core self-evaluation are more satisfied with their job. Inner worth, basic competence, evaluation, personal evaluation, and job comparison. These factors might affect the job satisfaction. Employee responses to dissatisfaction. If employees are not satisfied, how would they react? How would they behave? If the environment is destructive, they are feeling their internal feeling or satisfaction is destroyed, they are actively being disturbed towards their job satisfaction. That is, say, behavior directed towards leaving the organization, that they might exit out of the organization. If the destruction is passive, so they will start neglecting what just letting the conditions prevail, and they would not be engaged in their job. They would not be involved in the job. They would not be committed towards the organization, and the loyalty would also be falling down if the destruction continues. Of course, if they are constructive, the loyalty and the loyalty might increase, work engagement might increase, or the constructive and actively constructive, the voice is being recognized by the organization, that is, their complaints are being taken into consideration. So maybe they would feel satisfied because their complaints are being implemented or taken into consideration. But if not, they will start to neglect. Similarly, if they are being, the creativity of the constructiveness of the employees are destroyed, and the certification is destroyed. It is happening actively, so they will definitely leave the organization. So it of course damages the organization. Outcomes of job certification: job performance. Satisfied workers, of course, have more performance attitude, more towards organization citizenship behavior. Of course, if it is said that if employees are satisfied, the customers will definitely be satisfied, because satisfied employees serve best to the customers. And of course, it will reduce the absenteeism and turnover. This ultimately leads us to the end of this chapter. It is, of course, the research that is going on, and despite overwhelming evidence of the impact of job certification as an attitude on the bottom line, most managers are still either unconcerned about or overestimating the worker certification, or maybe underestimating the worker certification. That is, they might be behaving more as an ignorant, and might be considering the other factors towards job certification